Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Between a Pot and a Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton.
Hey, guys, I'm Chris Kirkpatrick.
And we're waiting we're going to kind of go live all at the same time, but we're going to go ahead and just talk something up a little bit. You see behind me, we'll talk about that in a minute. Jay and Todd from Northwood Pie. Now, we've had them on before, and they're going to come on again tonight, and we're just going to talk. And here's Todd coming in. So, how do you want to just bring them on as they come? We can do it however.
We can do that just fine.
All right, so here's Todd's in here. How's it going?
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're just waiting for Jay to pop up.
Happy to be back. Thanks for having me on again, y'all.
Yeah, it's fun. I kind of got I was gonna show something here. If you guys know, I got the pizza box sitting right here.
Oh yeah,
which is awesome. Little bummed there was no pizza in it when I got it delivered, but.
Fair.
I mean, I guess USPS, like postal delivery guys, get hungry from time to time.
Yeah, I can't believe
I couldn't figure out a way to make the way to send it, hot and fresh to him.
Yeah, no, it's impossible. That pizza's at its best when it's fresh.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna kind of tell the story here. It was my birthday, and my brother was like, you know what, Irvine isn't that far away. He's like, why don't we just hop in the car? We'll go over and check out Northwood Pie, Northwood Pizza. And I've never really been a big freak out kind of person about going to famous places, but I was just kind of cool being able to see the pizza place and to eat there. And we actually went and talked with the guy that was working there. It's like he really knew his stuff as far as the history of the place. I almost expected him to start sticking works in his beard. So,
do you remember who it was that was working?
Man, I don't remember his name. I just know that he had a rather big, bushy black beard.
You have long hair too.
I think so.
Yeah. I think that's Andy. Yeah, Andy's the best. He worked there when I worked.
Okay.
Yep. We've got Jay popping in here now. How's it going?
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry to be fashionably late.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
We're just kind of casually talking about how Chris got to go and actually eat some Northwood pizza, and how I was disappointed and excited because I have this box, but it was empty. But still, it's so cool to have this thing. It's got to be the strangest things that I have. It's like, oh, it's a pizza box. People that don't know are like, why do you have a pizza box just sitting here? Like, because.
It's pretty awesome. It makes my day to see that, actually.
Yeah. I actually have the menu on my refrigerator, just like the normal menu. I'm like, what? No, I can't order that. But still,
it's worth the prices. It's
yeah.
Worth.
Yeah.
It seems like a great deal. I'm like, man, if I was only there right now.
My sister works there now. Like, there's a small chance you may have saw her. She may have been in the back. Like, that's what's so funny.
There was only one guy that I saw out front.
Uh-huh.
And as much as I really wanted to, ask if I could go back into the kitchen and look around, I realized I didn't want to be one of those kinds of fans that was like super pushy. We even were trying to be just considerate. This is a business, and so we didn't have our cameras in people's faces. We did all of our video recording live outside.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still really cool just to be able to go, and I called it our pilgrimage to Northwood Pizza. So
that's so cool. Yeah, I bet they're stoked too. He was telling me, I think it was Andy that was there, Jay.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Andy Nikolenko, who is actually the fork beard guy. That's like who he's lightly based off of.
Okay, so he was the guy that he was the inspiration for that guy.
Yeah, he's one of the best people in the world. I love that guy.
My sister loves him too.
Okay, well that's cool.
Yeah, he's very sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, I had to Photoshop myself into the picture because I was like, no, actually, I was there. Wink. Yeah. I mean, it was fun. I mean, I was like, yeah, I'm here, yay! Hiding behind a stack of boxes, but I'm here. So that was cool. Yeah. It was cool to be able to watch those videos later and be like, oh wow, like you're there and I'm not, but it's still cool.
Yeah. I felt bad that you were kind of excluded. If there was a way we could either pay for a plane ticket to bring you out to go and experience it, that would have been sweet.
I mean, yeah. And I know
One day we'll get them out here. You know, when we do a Marvel movie in 10 years, we'll drive down and check out Pizza Place.
There we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
You probably drove by like a bunch of other locations too. Like just driving to the pizza place, you definitely any of the three ways you could have gotten there, like you would have driven past another location or another park that we shot at. So it's kind of cool.
I think that was what we were realizing was just, that the whole movie was filmed right there, in Irvine.
Yeah,
and it's a nice little town.
It is.
Yeah,
it's gotten nicer. It's one of those places. It's like a Sim City. It's like a perfectly built place. Like every time I go back, there's like a new area that was underdeveloped or just desert or nothing, and all of a sudden it's like a shopping center and an entertainment district and a food court, and like it's like the nicest gym you've ever seen. It's like perfectly positioned.
And have you noticed they do that like after you leave?
Yeah.
You would have killed for that when you were a teenager. Like, if only you had this, and then you leave, and then they get all the new stuff.
I'm sure kids had fun, driving around when there was nothing, going into the middle of the orange grove trees or whatever. But
you get they get to tell the stories about when I was a kid, there was nothing here.
Orange Grove, as far as the eye could see.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
Yeah. So I was there like recently-ish, and I literally caught myself being like, wow, this used to be all avocado fields. And I was like, oh, man, I'm that guy.
I also you move away, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm definitely going to move back here when I have kids. Like,
you always end up going back to where you come from. I know that's crazy, but it is so true.
It is. Like, I moved away from here for like 2 years. I was like, all right, I'm good. I got to go back.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
It's just so nice, like clean over there. It's nuts. Wide roads, little traffic.
Speed limit's so high. I saw this problem. I come here, I got a bunch of speeding tickets because, like, no matter what the street is in LA, it's like 35 miles an hour, maybe 40. And in Irvine, it's like 60 miles an hour, just like the street next to my house. And it's like people are going 70.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little mini freeway, like every road. And then all of a sudden, I'm going over here.
Yeah.
And there it is.
That's awesome. So yeah, like last time you guys were on, we were kind of talking about the movie and everything, and we got off of that, and then you guys left, and then we were talking about Spider-Man and shit, as you put it. So now we're here just to talk about whatever. If there's anything like specific, like shows you guys have been watching or movies. I know Chris and I have been talking a lot about the CW shows and stuff. We're gearing up to get some people on from some of those shows, and so we're excited about that. Got a lot, which
is really cool. Congrats about that.
Like,
that's a big deal.
Thanks.
So you guys deserve it.
Mark Guggenheim got us in touch with a couple of people and some publicists from Warner Brothers, and we're like, oh, this may or may not go anywhere. But she's like, all right, hey, thanks for reaching out. I like Mark Guggenheim. He's a cool dude, so I'm going to help you. Here's a list of 12 people that I can get you. I'm like, okay.
That's cool. That's right.
That's cool. And so we're super excited about that. Hopefully, some of it's going to start in August. We have 1 or 2 late August, so hopefully, that continues to grow, and we get some pretty big names. And even if we don't get huge names, we are excited to talk to the people that were involved in any way with making things that we enjoy.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, it's only going to help the podcast, I'm sure. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's we're slowly growing. We're pushing the YouTube now. We're trying to get some more YouTube subscribers. We're like, come on and watch us and everything. And I just, between the last 48 hours, I probably uploaded like 20 videos to YouTube. We're like, let's get them all on there so people can come and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's smart. I mean, you're recording it anyway, so you probably should, every time it comes out, you probably just put it on every platform right away.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing the Facebook Live thing, and it's like, okay, this is fun for a while, but now it's like, okay, let's go to YouTube as well. Let's go to, we're pushing the Twitter constantly. Twitter's growing so fast. And that's really where we get in touch with everybody. It's Twitter. Like, everybody uses Twitter. Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh, hey, I'm here. The Facebook stuff, I noticed like celebrity pages or like, whatever on Facebook, they're there, but they're not really there. They're like, oh, hey, look at my new movie. And they never interact. But on Twitter, it's like, your movie sucks. We're like, oh, yeah. And they'll like, argue with you for 2 hours. It's like, oh, okay, this works.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Underneath the yelling, there's community still on Twitter.
Right.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. I feel like whenever I hear something about Northwood Pie, I feel like obligated because we know you guys and we love what you guys have put out. Just being huge fans of the movie. Every time I get an opportunity to to plug your movie, we do that. I feel like that's just kind of a part of the community we built here on the show, that you guys have come on and you spent time here with us, and we want to keep on just kind of bringing attention to what you guys have done. So,
yeah, I can't thank you enough. Yeah,
thank you guys.
I always think, I hope they're not getting annoyed.
Nope.
Right.
No.
Never, ever.
And you know how it is. People have to see things multiple times almost before they sometimes give it a go.
They really do.
Yeah. You got to hound them. Honestly, if we could go back in time and give you guys associate producers credits for all the black things you guys have done, we would.
Well, you could like come out with like a new Blu-ray, digitally remastered release, and we can just
Sure.
Yeah.
On the 10th anniversary DVD, like Clerks, we'll have extra features, and we'll have like an extra bonus, like 3 minutes of credits to all the supporters who've.
And have the special edition be packaged in a Northwood Pizza box with a T-shirt.
Yeah,
and then everybody will learn what a T-shirt is.
Unfortunately, that's not till the 20th anniversary Criterion, because it still takes a while to catch on. It's so small. So the 10th anniversary is a regular disc. Maybe the 20th or 25th will get that pizza box. I want it, but
Steelbook pizza box.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Gosh, I would love to be named as an associate producer.
That would be awesome.
Maybe our next film will be like Zack Snyder, and we'll just have everyone be an associate.
Yeah. We learned that the hard way. We had somebody slated to come on the show who on their Twitter said associate producer of Justice League, and Steven was like, "Oh my goodness, he's an associate producer," and we realized that he had no affiliation at all.
He was just like, "Yeah, I'm associate producer of the Zack Snyder's Justice League."
He's on that retweet producing game. He's just retweeting every positive story about Justice League. He's on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't want to like diminish that at all, but I was like, okay, well, you kind of led us to believe that like he didn't actually say I worked on the movie, but he didn't say he didn't either. So I was like, you could have mentioned that you didn't actually, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, though. I saw, there was something where if you donated or if you were part of something, he wanted you to call yourself that. There was a way that all these fans could get involved. Yeah.
I think I read somewhere, too, that like something like that, where if you just put hashtag release the Snyder Cut, then boom, you're an associate producer. Like,
okay.
I mean, that's one of the ways I read it. But, I mean, I get it. I mean, that's cool. Because it was the people that brought that to life. Like, without those hashtags, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So
100%.
But yeah, as far as like movies and stuff, and shows, I know we talked a little bit about it, Loki and all that kind of stuff. And I just finally watched Mandalorian like a week ago, both seasons like back to back. I'm slowly catching up to all that stuff, but it's been great. WandaVision, Loki, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've had, podcast episodes talking about all of those.
Yeah. No, I've seen a few of them.
Okay, cool.
I've seen like a gazillion things. I watched, how many things have I seen? I've seen like 453 times I've sat down to watch a movie this year, which is insane. So I've rewatched a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you kept the number. Like you kept the count.
Yeah. Have you heard of Letterboxd before?
No.
Letterboxd is this website and this app, and it like logs all your films. You can make a diary. So I've been keeping track on that website for like 8 years. Before that, in high school, I used to have a little like Word document and an Excel sheet where I used to like log my films. So I started keeping track at like 17.
Okay.
And then once I found Letterboxd, it's like every time I watch a movie, the first thing I do is go on there and log it. And it's great. You can be like, Jay, what did you watch June 24th, 2016? And I can be like, hold on, give me, a second. And then I'll tell you every single film I watched, the grade I gave it, the review I gave it that day, sometimes where I watched it, who I watched it with. So it's nice. Yeah, there it is. Boom.
Awesome.
It's that Northwood Pie in the corner. Look at that.
review.
And I watched all the Marvel films again. And I watched all the TV shows. I just saw Black Widow. I rewatched all the X-Men movies. I'm like halfway through rewatching all the Spider-Man movies with my friends. So like I'm on a hunt this year.
Okay, sweet. So what did you think of Black Widow?
It's interesting. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I think it's not that it was bad in any way. It's just a well done film. I just thought that it's interesting watching it after all the shows and after Endgame. And there's some part of it where it feels like like the villain is kind of setting things up, and he's like, oh, I'm going to be able to achieve all this, and now this is the new world I'm creating, that I'm going to do this. And I'm like, well, Thanos is coming in 6 months, so I'm not sure if she lets you do this, I'm not sure if your plan's going to work, buddy, because I think Thanos has other plans for you.
Yeah.
But that's not really a fault on the film. And then I thought that, Scarlett Johansson, was great to see her get her own film, and I thought the film had a more serious tone, which I found appreciative, that it wasn't like as comedic as the more recent films, that it really was a little bit more serious and family based. But then I also thought that she didn't feel like, again, she felt like a side character in her own movie sometimes. I felt like Florence Pugh, I can never say her name right, but she was like really great. And I almost feel like she and David Harbour and stuff kind of have, in some way, more fun scenes to do. And she almost just feels like she's just forced to drive the plot forward, and we almost don't build more of her character. It's weird. She gets her own movie, but I don't feel like we learn anything about her deeper about her, besides, that she was, more spy info. But I don't know. I just feel like for a movie called Black Widow, I thought we should have got a little more Black Widow character stuff.
I think that it was intentional. This is really a movie where they're passing the baton.
Sure.
Right? That her sister now becomes essentially the new Black Widow.
Yeah.
And so that's I guess a lot of the reason why we learn a lot more about the sister than about ScarJo, is because they're really building her up.
Yeah, I think she's great. I think I'm excited to see her in the rest of the films, and you can tell this movie was, supposed to come out before all the TV shows.
Right.
So it's like this was going to come out before Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and this was going to come out, before WandaVision and Loki. So it definitely, after we kind of now know where maybe the next phase is going, this kind of feels like, the last phase. It felt, it definitely feels like it was supposed to come out a year ago, which is not a fault on the film. I don't like talking about movies too much funny publicly, like when I see them one time, because I watch things so many times, I like to analyze them and be really specific. And I don't like to judge things too harshly or too grandly when I first walk out, because I'm very much like analyzer. So I'm usually not someone who's super excited when the first time, or like super bummed. I'm kind of very tempered, and I go see something a second time and really analyze it more.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fair. I feel like I often will rate, especially superhero movies, based upon other superhero movies.
Of course, yeah.
I would rate this somewhere between a Iron Man 2 and a Thor 2.
Okay.
That's kind of where I would put it. Enjoyable, rewatchable, but not my favorite. I think that's kind of where things are for me, kind of mid in the whole thing. But I liked it, and I thought there were some humorous moments in the film where, you had the super family together, and kind of picking on each other and telling her not to lean over because she'll get a hump. I thought it was hilarious, and I'm a huge Rachel Weisz fan.
Yeah, too.
Yeah.
She's the queen.
I feel like she just never gets old. Like, I watched her back in the old Mummies.
Some of my favorite movies. Like growing up as a kid, those mean everything to me. Like those movies are important to me as like Indiana Jones and Star Wars on my development. Like
that was one of those movies that was in my house, literally playing on loop. I don't know how long. I just really loved those movies. But she's amazing. And then David Harbour is. I think he was more of a comedic role. They were playing him up as being that almost kind of like jokey, stupid dad kind of character, which he does really well.
I love David Harbour.
He's great in everything.
Yeah, he's always top. Same with Rachel Weisz.
Right, and if you, for me, the connection between in Stranger Things, where he's fantastic, that whole season ends. And he ends up in a gulag in Russia. And here he is, and he's in a gulag in Russia. I'm like, how did they do that?
Crossover.
Yeah, it's actually the same character.
So, yeah, so I like it, but like you, I'm not over the moon crazy about it, but I'm definitely a fan. So
I fully agreed about the Iron Man 2, Thor 2. It's like it sits with me there, but I'm putting it below them right now just because I've seen those movies a bunch and I know they're rewatchable because I've seen them over the years, and I'm not like I haven't seen Black Widow again, so I don't know if it's rewatchable. But it's definitely that level of quality, at least. I mean, all the films are, well structured and they're entertaining, and So I'm excited to see how it holds up on, repeat viewings. Because I mean, I do like all the actors, and like you said, David Harbour is great and he's hilarious. And it was interesting. I liked the character scenes a lot more than the action scenes in this movie, which I feel like a lot of Marvel movies, I sometimes, I'm like more into the action scenes, sometimes in the character scenes, sometimes feel like they have to have them. And then this film, I was like the prologue when they were like, before it really got into it, I was like getting invested in the family. And like you said, the family scenes are when I almost felt most engaged in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that music. I thought that music montage at the start, it was very haunting. I forget the song that they had done.
It's a Nirvana song, right? Yeah.
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, like that. But it was a very stripped down, slow. But I thought it was the perfect song. To kind of begin the movie. So I thought it was.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think tonally the movie was spot on. I'm right there 100% with you guys as well. I definitely the first Marvel movie where, like Jay said, I was way more involved in the character scenes than like the big set pieces.
Yeah, I know that one of the debatable things people bring up is the bad guy, right? In this case, it was I guess the villain they were bringing up was Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Not really a villain that I was very familiar with going into the movie, and I don't think we necessarily learn a lot about who Taskmaster is. It might be to a very deep degree, other than that you can copy whatever you do. But I feel like if there was a negative, it was that the villain could have been a little less two-dimensional.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I agree. Like the third act for me was like there's a point at the end with Taskmaster and everything where it almost doesn't feel like it was set up enough. Like Scarlett Johansson, they talk about she couldn't kill Ray Winstone before, and she thought she did, and she hurt this girl, but we don't know her. We never seen that. It's all just told to us, kind of. So by the time at the end of it, when they're trying to make it really emotional, they never had a moment really together or a scene, and I've never had her mention this before, so I didn't necessarily connect to that. So I wasn't emotionally invested. And then also, I don't know how spoilery we want to get, but like
we go full spoiler.
Okay, full spoiler here. She does the thing where she breaks her own nose to like set it off. And that's one of those things where I thought like, it's fine, but in a movie you want to have, I think that's something you want to set up when it's good film, like super, like earlier on. It's like a James Bond, thing that you set up like a pen in the beginning in the third act. Maybe you forget about it and it comes back and she does it. But it seemed like they set it up in a flashback, like right before she does it, to be like, oh no, we have to set it up so they know. And it didn't feel like, it's fine, it works, but it's not organically placed in the beginning and makes you go, oh, wow, or oh, that's so great. It's just like, okay, this is what they have to do.
Yeah, that was one of my bigger, I guess, complaints. If I had to complain about it, was that like in the third act, they're essentially like revealing new information. And I feel like third act is for payoffs. You know what I mean? Like everything we've seen is not supposed to lead to this point, but they're still setting up and paying off within the third act. But I mean, it's just very small complaint.
A great example of that, I just watched Back to the Future again. Back to the Future movies. And I love Back to the Future. I've seen Back to the Future a zillion times. I know everyone has. But like, it's amazing how that movie gets better every time I watch it, no matter how many times I see it. And I know I'm going to be 80 years old, and it's going to be better then than I think it is now, probably. But that film, the last like 40 minutes, the whole third act, there's like no new information. It's nothing but payoffs. It's like, but it's paying off stuff that was so casually set up you didn't even know it was setting up. It has like 6-7 endings in a row, because not only do you have to like punch Biff and you have that great sequence, it's like then you have to go to the dance and they have to kiss, and then he has to play the music, and then he has to go back to the future still. And it's like, and once he gets back to the future, then like Doc has to get like saved. You realize that moment's there. And then he goes home and it's like, wow, my whole family's changed, and there's that payoff. And then it's like the whole coda of like, no, where we're going, we don't need roads. And it's like that whole, but it's nothing but paying off. It's not setting up new information that whole time. It's just paying off everything that you set up in the first two acts. And there's something about that that's cathartic, that's enjoyable, that makes you feel like, you as an audience member, you're just going along for the ride. You feel smart. You know everything that's coming. You like putting the pieces together. You're not still trying to figure out what's happening. I think that's why a movie like, and I like Tenet too, but like I think Inception works so well. Is I think by the time the ending happens and the visual use of the truck going off and intercutting, I think everyone understands what's happening and they can just watch it, the third act of Inception, without having to be like, wait, how does it work, or how's the dream work? You understand? I think the first time you watch Tenet, I think maybe I still had some questions in the third act. I was still trying to figure it out a little bit. So just a simple thing, but
most things with time travel, as Chris could tell you, like I'm like, wait a minute, no matter if I've seen it once or a million times. We just had like a big conversation about it the other day about about Loki. I was like, but, and then you brought up Back to the Future. I'm like, but that's total bullshit. But wait a minute. And we just tend to not talk about time travel too in depth because I do get stuck in this loop.
Well, yeah, I think it's just because it is a paradox. Like, it's impossible to do because it's impossible to do. You know, like, no matter the more you look at it, the more holes you'll find, and because it can't exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
Except the movie coherence, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
Talking about time travel and multiversal stuff, like I would love to talk about Spider-Man, but go ahead, Chris.
No, I mean, I feel like I would just touch base on time travel, and then we'll go back to Spider-Man. But
sure,
I feel like, gosh, who wouldn't want the opportunity to go back in time and something like I know there are so many things that I screwed up when I was younger. The ability to go back and potentially fix those things, so I don't have to deal with those consequences now as an adult. I mean, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. No, to be clear, I love time travel movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of them. I think as Steven and I know, the problem with time travel is there are just so many butterflies, right? You step on a butterfly, and it creates a hurricane. You just have no idea how that's going to work. And I enjoy the drama that stories like that, how that kind of creates. So.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. It's so much fun. And I mean, it just goes to show you the power of, like, a bad time travel movie versus a good time travel movie. They're always equally as implausible, but it's the power of storytelling. And, like, how you're relaying the information to me is going to be how I love it. Like, it doesn't really need to make that much sense. As an audience member, you get to go into a movie and you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt for the concept. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They get one leap of belief no matter what. Every movie does. And so it's just how they use that. That's why I love time travel movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like horror, any bad time travel movie, you're still going to watch it. I'll still check it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 6 or 7 times to make sure.
I think
Well, confirm it's bad like once a year for the first 10 years, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
Okay, so Spider-Man.
But yeah. Woo. I mean, and I brought up time travel because, like, we know the one major, at least what I know, one major thing is, like, Alfred Molina coming back as Doc Ock, which is plucked straight from the ending of Spider-Man 2. And I mean, like, that right there alone, I was like, holy crap. Like, what does this mean for, like, the other movies, which, of course, rumors still flying around, like, they're going to be in it. No, they're not. Yes, they are. Who knows? I mean, I would imagine if they're going to have one or two villains from past movies, they're going to have a few more surprises that they're definitely not going to tell anybody.
Oh, yeah.
All I got to say is if there's Toby in it, I'm 5 times as excited. When I was, just because, like, I'm excited for Spider-Man, but as a kid, when I was 9 years old, like, that's one of the first films I remember seeing in theaters. I waited around the block for Spider-Man. I was already really into film, wanted to be a filmmaker and all that stuff. But 9 is that age where your memories are, like, just perfect, that ripe, and seeing that opening day with the sold out crowd. And, like, when he was like, who am I? I'm Spider-Man at the end, when he's, like, walking away. It was like I saw The Godfather and Die Hard mixed together, and it was, like, the greatest thing. I was, like, my mind was exploding, and I was so obsessed with Spider-Man. And Spider-Man 2 was probably, like, the most excited I was for a movie. And Spider-Man 3, to this day, I will never be more excited for a movie than, like, little 7th, 8th grade me was for Spider-Man 3. So definitely love all this, just love all the Spider-Man movies and, Spider-Man in general. But excited for the multiverse film, but it's one of those things, there's so many rumors and stuff. It's like I don't want to get my hopes up because so many people say something, and if it's not there, I don't want to be like, well, and then not enjoy the film for what it is and what it's trying to do.
Yeah,
I feel like it's part of their plan. If you try to go and keep a secret, it's going to get out. But if you release a bunch of things that could possibly be true or not true, then people have no idea what's true or what's a lie, and it will at least keep them guessing. I think sometimes they like to play games with us.
I think maybe they might have fixed Tom Holland because he hasn't told us what happens yet.
Right.
Or maybe he has, and we just don't know what he's talking about yet.
We got a replacement.
I was going to ask who your favorite iteration of Spider-Man was. Clearly, you said that it was Tobey Maguire, and yeah. I mean, and it was. I think that.
They all have their own strengths, though. Like, I'm not like, Tom Holland's better for this generation, and he's maybe better, more like the comic. But like being 9, like I grew up with Tobey, so I connect with him. But like, I think they're all great Spider-Man and could all make great Spider-Man movies. And I think the quality of the films doesn't mean anything about the actors. I think the actors could have all done amazing things.
Right. I mean, I feel like because because he was the first. I feel like that's why for a lot of us that were there and watched it in the theater, that he's just so iconic for us.
Yes.
Compare everybody that comes after it to him, right? To Tobey Maguire. I think personally, I love what Tom Holland brings. There's this kind of very youthful energy, that kind of excitement, that frenetic nature we always see in Spider-Man, and definitely I feel a lot of that smack talk banter that he has. I do feel like Tom Holland's Spider-Man really does bring that for me, but that doesn't take away from Tobey Maguire at all.
No,
well, definitely. I think there's even an argument to be made that, like, objectively, I could see an argument saying Tom Holland is probably objectively the best Spider-Man.
I would agree with that. Like,
yeah,
I think he's probably objectively the most Spider-Man, but growing up with Tobey, it's Tobey. Yeah.
But for me, it was Tobey Maguire. I went to the theater. My dad was like one of the first movies he took me to see besides like Gladiator, which was weird. And he like didn't really want to go. And by the end of the movie, I like remember him being like, "Damn, that's pretty good." So it's like I was like, "Oh, this must be good if my dad likes it." Went home, waited for Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 came out, got the friggin' PS2 video game. Or was it PS2?
Oh gosh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was just like fully encompassed in the Maguire. So
what really sticks out for those movies for me were like Willem Dafoe. I mean, the Green Goblin. It's like such a good like casting for that. I mean, it's like, could you have picked anybody more perfect for that character? Like,
yeah. Honestly,
I mean, first we attack his heart. I mean, come on. So good.
I just love Sam Raimi. Like, I love the weird little like horror flourishes that he gives to it. Like in Spider-Man 2, that whole doctor scene with Doc Ock when he comes alive for the first time. It's
gosh.
That that's not going to be in any of the new Spider-Man type movies. They're not going to necessarily do something outrageous, But it was really cool and like very specific and unique. And I just appreciate that.
His Dutch angles. I mean, there's that stuff when Doc Ock is approaching at the end of 2 when he's with Mary Jane. He does the dive, and then it's like. And it keeps like pushing in on their face really tight, like it's like a push zoom.
Oh,
like the floor's rumbling. Even in 3, when the Sandman's about to get like quote unquote killed by the water when he turns into like all liquid into a sewer, when the little bolts pop off, they do like the little Dutch angle spins, and it's like he just has the balls to do that. And also when I just rewatched them all actually this Thursday with my friend Walter, and what I really loved about it, and what I didn't really like about Black Widow, I guess, in a lot of movies today is like. People just use slow motion to use slow motion a lot of times. And like, there's just times where it doesn't need it. But in those first 3 Spider-Man films, he uses slow motion very particularly at the very right moment to emphasize a particular, where time needs to slow down because he's doing something so complicated to save someone or a maneuver or something. And it just slows down at the right. And it's like, I don't know, it's just the perfect moments every single time. And it's not just overdone. It's only very simple. And that was another thing that stuck out to me because I think slow-mo is another thing that gets over. Today, it's very much like handheld and slow-mo, and it's like that combination of the two. Right. And I feel like the action in the first 3 Spider-Man movies really stand out as like their own action. And as much as I like Tom Holland, that's the thing about the movie is nothing beats the train set piece with Doc Ock in any of these new movies.
My gosh.
Like, that train set piece is an amazing action set piece. Like one of my all-time favorites. Because like not only do you have the first pull-out shot, you get him epically swinging through the glasses. Then they get an epic fight on the side of the buildings. They fall on the train. They're fighting on the side of the train. He dives through. But then Spider-Man he does everything. He fights the villain. Then he has to save actual people. He's saving people from falling, hitting the ground. And then he has to, then he goes on the train, has to stop the train. I think today, just the moments of him saving people in those first movies, catching them in webs, and it's something that a lot of superhero movies get lost in today because you're so about the plot and you're so about defeating the villain that you forget, like, sometimes you just got to save people. Like, that's what you are. You're a superhero. And that's what the Tom Holland stuff I think is best is when he's just being his everyday Spider-Man, when he's doing small things. That's what makes me connect with him.
What about Andrew Garfield? Can we say anything positive about that? We haven't mentioned him at all, which not to take away from what he did, but I mean, like
personality.
He was good. He was a good.
He was all right.
Spider-Man. I didn't like.
He does this a lot. No.
I really like some of like story, directions they took in that one because it was like you saw Gwen Stacy, you saw that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, they're kind of going more comic book story wise, but he was gotta be the least. He's like number 3 definitely as far as my favorite. I think we all.
I don't think that's his fault though. So much, I think the films are clearly the lesser of the bunch, and but he's very good in it. Like, I mean, he does a great performance. I think all his scenes with Dennis Leary in the first film I really like. And the romance scenes with him and Emma Stone are good. And he had a little bit more spunk. It's like all different directions. Like when he was attacking people, he had a little bit more crass when he was like, webbing them in the wall, a little more confident in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you compare in the first Spider-Man film, when you're learning your powers and you're going dun 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 dun, Sam Raimi climbing a wall, and then his movie, you're skateboarding. It's not his fault. I mean, skateboarding's not as cool as climbing a wall.
Yeah. I met that skateboarder.
That was cool. I
met the skateboarding guy.
Yeah. No. I thought that was an interesting way for them to show his powers developing.
Yeah.
Was him using his spidey senses and skills to do skateboard tricks.
Yeah, I met his stunt double for all those. That guy's really cool.
Really?
Yeah, awesome. Really nice.
They have an amazing making of. If you haven't seen it, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 have like great 90-minute making ofs, and they work so hard on the movies. And I really do enjoy them. They're movies that, again, I don't give the highest grade to, but every time I rewatch them, I'm invested in it, and I watch the whole thing, and it's Spider-Man. I think they get great, especially the second one. It gets maybe the best shots of Spider-Man swinging. And like that suit with the bug eyes is really great. And so that's a positive there too.
I think people underestimate or kind of underrate Andrew Garfield as an actor. And I've seen him in a lot of different things. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, and he was in Doctor Who. He had done some stage acting work that I had seen, which was brilliant. And he was in Hacksaw Ridge, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, love Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah. The guy really has a lot of range. I think it's amazing. A lot of these British actors you don't realize have accent. And then you hear them do it. You do an interview and you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah, right. Christian
Bale.
I
thought how he talks to Spider-Man is just his normal voice. Yeah, I mean Christian Bale. These people, it's amazing. I mean, I can't even believe it. Tom Holland too.
Yeah, Tom Holland too. What the only reason I can't even have more insight on the Andrew Garfield one is I just straight up don't remember those movies very well.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I know the ending, and I know a couple of minutes of it here and there, but I guess I didn't watch them as much as I've watched, the Tobey Maguire movies and of course the newer Spider-Man.
I literally just remember the Gwen Stacy thing.
Yeah, like one of the best moments because that happened in the comic.
Yeah, I was like, dang, I think that's why I remember.
I still wish we got the third one still. I mean, I know I'm excited we got Tom Holland, excited we get that, but I don't like things being left undone.
Right.
Yeah.
I want if they could have just finished their trilogy, it would be nice. And as much as I do love the MCU, I was a big X-Men fan, original X-Men films, and I'm kind of sad for a point. I remember summer 2014. And it was nice because we were getting all these different type of superhero movies. We used to have 4 studios really battling for that. We had the MCU was making movies, and then Sony had their own Spider-Man films they were making. And then on top of that, we had the DCU and we had the Fox X-Men film. So it was like we had 4 companies with 4 different type of tones and visions. And even though some were better than others, it's nice to have variety. And now it's like essentially 2 companies from now on are going to make the major superhero movies. And I think we're going to miss a little bit of that because even though they do stretch out the MCU with the inspirations, I guess. I mean, they're still keeping with their core. It's not that different. It still feels like an MCU film.
And it kind of I've been reading a lot about the not spoilers, but the rumors and stuff with the multiverse and Spider-Man. And there was some talk at some point about Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4 coming out still. So. Just because it's you're in the multiverse now. Now we can branch off. We can do this Spider-Man. We can do that Spider-Man. And it's okay, Sony, you can have this and let us do this one. And then that way you can have those different tones and stuff. I think that'd be amazing. And that would give a chance for the Amazing Spider-Man 3, which I think I would love to see that movie.
I don't think that's not getting made in any universe as much as I want to see it. No, it's not happening.
I would love to see him finish it up. But
I want to see it.
Yeah, I would love to see that too. I want
to see Zack Snyder's second Justice League movie. That's not happening either.
Oh gosh.
And I'm not even the biggest fan of that first Justice League film, but I just like seeing things completed again. I just want to see Darkseid, and they show him in it, and then I'm just now I'm not going to see him for what? How long until they do Darkseid again? I'm like, okay,
20 years.
Honestly, no.
That was the worst part about being able to watch the Snyder Cut was realizing that we're gonna all be left in suspense about what comes next.
Yep.
So yeah.
Corey says, Chris's brother Corey says the best thing about the original Spider-Man trilogy is the Bruce Campbell cameos.
100%
correct.
And I agree. I mean, that's what I miss about Spider-Man. Is Bruce Campbell. Where is he at, man? Come on.
Yeah.
I was saying the other night to my friend, he needs, if this is multi-universe is real and Toby's there, I need Bruce Campbell in it.
Yeah,
I need to see Bruce Campbell. Even if it's 1 second cameo, show me him.
He's got to be in Doctor Strange, right? Like he has to show up.
He has to be in Doctor Strange. Yeah, that would be great.
I'm going to turn my light on. Hold on. I'm still in the same.
I mean, he narrated the entire Spider-Man like video game, the first one, I think, the Spider-Man movie game and the Spider-Man 2, like the Sam Raimi movie games.
Yeah, and he would like lightly like be kind of passive aggressive to you the whole time.
Yeah. It's like you're climbing up a wall, you fall down. It's like, that's all you can do? Come on, you can do better than that.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, dude. Like, the game isn't hard enough. You're going to sit there and, like insult me as I try to play.
Oh, Bruce Campbell, dude. I'm a big Evil Dead franchise fan, even the show.
I was a big fan of Burn Notice, and then nobody, like, remembers that show. I'm like,
I remember Burn Notice. I used to watch Burn Notice.
Well, I'm a fan of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh, what's that one?
I only had like one season, but it was hilarious. It was really well written. It was fun. Again, I'm older, so I'm
gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, Briscoe County Jr.
Briscoe County Jr.
I'm writing that down right now. I'm not being rude. I swear. I'm writing it down.
It is definitely worth the watch. It's one of those movies my brother forced me to, or it was a series my brother forced me to watch, but I really love it.
I got to get that down, too, because I really want to watch that now.
Yeah.
Anything with Bruce Campbell, I'll check out.
You will thank me later. You will thank me later.
Okay.
Speaking of random new series, have you asked me this Dr. Death thing?
I have not.
No.
I don't. No.
No, then I'm not even going to bring it
You're
up.
alone.
Yeah. Nobody knows it. I'm
Highly recommend. It gets the thumbs up for me.
What is it on?
So it's on Peacock, that streaming service.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like a retelling of a true story about like a doctor who would it was a surgeon and he would just go in and mess people up for
really?
no particular reason. And it's like Alec Baldwin is in it, Christian Slater, Joshua Jackson. I think Kelsey Grammer's in it for like a second. It's really good.
I'm sold. That's a great cast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good names.
Yeah. So highly recommend.
For sure. I've actually have Peacock, too, so I'm like, I need to go watch that.
Oh yeah, I would. It's like
Peacock is really cool. People like kind of put it down. I'm like, why? I mean, it's not that bad.
yeah, no, actually, it
A lot of good stuff.
Max for me.
They're building up, slowly but surely. There's so many streaming sites. I think some of them didn't want to go full out at first because they still have contracts for the next 3-4 years already signed.
Right.
So it's like there's no reason to go, this is Peacock. You get everything Universal here, but guess what? Some of our biggest films may not go here for a while, and they're on contract. So I think it's more like, let's just build a subscriber base. We get and then when there's going to be a moment where it'll be our time to shine when they've plateaued or come up. So, I mean, they've got their strategies. They're smart people. I'd like to think.
Yeah.
I've told Jay my theory of that someone's going to come along. It could be all four of us. Someone's going to come along and make it so you can just buy all of the streaming services in a bundle. And at that point, we will have just recreated basic cable.
I mean, that's going to happen for sure.
That's been my thought for a few years, honestly, because it's like you got, at first it was just like Netflix and you had to wait for the DVD in the mailbox. Yeah. And that was all it was. And then you're like, okay, now we have Hulu. Now we have it. And it's like, dude, it's cable. Basically.
What I don't understand is like, and maybe I'll leave this in a few years, but like Disney Plus is Disney and Fox. So this is what I want every single Disney and Fox movie ever released to be on there. Like that's what I assume. And it's like, and it would be nice to go by decade. It'd be nice to go like 1947. Here's every movie both companies put out. There it is. Watch them. And I would be the guy who's like, am I just going to sit on the couch for the next 40 years of my life and watch every single piece of content that every major studio has put out, like starting at the beginning of time? Probably.
Right.
Yeah. I would just be like, I'm just going to watch every film. Because, like, and same thing with, Peacock. Eventually, I would like to expect every single NBC show and every single, NBC special event, every Olympic, like literally every piece of content they have there as an archive, and you pay your $15 a month to access it.
Yeah, I mean, all I do right now is like binge watch The Office over and over. But I mean, there's other stuff on there that I like too. But I mean, that's like my go-to thing. Like, can't sleep, turn on The Office, fall asleep, wake up, it's still on. Oh, okay.
The Office with me, like when I finally got around to watching it, they took it off whatever streaming server it was on. It smack dab in the middle of my viewing. And that's the second time it happened to me. I'm so sick of it.
It was on Netflix for a long time, and then for like 2 or 3 years, they were like, Peacock is coming. Netflix is gonna lose The Office. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. They kept building it up, and it's like that was their huge selling point for Peacock, which they already had me sold. I was like, all right, I'll go over there, which is kind of weird because it's like you could just go spend like $40 and buy the whole series on DVD or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to continuously pay $5-10 a month to watch it. But it's like, well, it's easier this way. I don't have to go to the store and buy it.
You guys ever watch Fringe?
I think I've seen an episode.
I might have seen a little bit of it.
Actually, I think you guys would really like it. But it's just it's like that was the first show I was watching it, and I was like, well, this is incredible. And they're like, it's no longer available ever for any. And now I had to buy each episode. It was like $5. I dropped like $300 on that show.
That is driven.
It's kind of crazy how digital content is like so much more than like buying the physical copy.
Yeah.
That was like puzzled me. I was like, wait a minute, like $5 an episode, like in the whole season, it would be like $50, but you can go out and buy like the set for like $30.
Yeah,
I know. It's kind of backwards, but I mean, it's convenient.
It's also stuff with movies, like I've had my iTunes account. You update it recently, and it's like it took off like half my music just got deleted. And I was googling it. It happened to a lot of things on my iPhone. I got so upset. I've cultivated stuff for years. It's like, who's to say all these movies you bought on Amazon, they're not going to wake up one day and be like, oh yeah, sorry, there was a hidden thing. It lasted like 10 years. They're all gone. We rebooted it. Sorry. Like, you own the disc, you own it for life. And I'll say this, when the zombie apocalypse happens and I get on my boat and I end up somewhere with my generator on a point and I'm still alive fishing, and I have my 600 Blu-rays, which is the only thing I packed with me, and you guys will be jealous because everyone else can't get cable anymore and they can't stream what they want. I'll have all the content,
That reminds me of I don't know if you guys saw the new Stand miniseries, Stephen King's The Stand. But there was a joke like that, like sort of in there. It's like, this big end of the world apocalypse type, post-apocalyptic, pandemic sort of situation that The Stand was. And the remake is a lot like that. And there's this dude collecting DVDs. He was like, when we lose the power. And of course, at some point in the series, they like get power turned back on for that small section of that town. And he's like, look, see, we can watch DVDs now.
Genius.
It's pretty funny.
Well, that's all I would do in a zombie apocalypse. What else is there to do?
Yeah, I mean, really,
Lord of the Rings all day.
Yeah,
that and like video games or video games and DVDs or both. Like, yeah, you can't really do much else.
I feel like video games. I feel like that gives you more hours, to be honest.
Yeah, and more interaction with people. You can watch something with somebody, but it's like you can actually have that level of competition. Like, hey, I'm going to beat you at this game. It's like we've been playing Pong for 40 years.
Yeah,
or whatever. That's all you have. It's in that pocket.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think if an apocalypse happens, or if you got sent to prison, that you'd be one of those people who got like buffer and shape, or like you like to think that? And then I think like I'd come out in 6 years out of prison, I'd be just as skinny, and it'd be like, oh man, I didn't take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'd do the same way. I would just come out the same, just like older.
Yeah,
I would definitely come out different. I think that I would read every book in their library.
Sure.
I'm one of those nerds.
that's
I would be the guy, doing sit-ups and chin-ups, and
every chapter.
I'd have a law degree when I leave.
Be like really jacked up with like tattoos in your face.
Right.
Might have. I wouldn't. I just feel like I don't know. I don't think I'd care enough to. I think I'd be so mentally defeated. I'm trying to not say it in a pessimistic way, but I'd be like so defeated that I don't think I'd find the will to like survive and become buff. I get one of those.
Right.
Right.
I'd just be sitting there carving lines in the wall like 75 days.
Yeah.
76 days. That would be me.
Yeah. I'm already like not good at eating. I got to show you guys something. You seen this? Is it clear enough to see what's
that's
actually?
nice.
The 100 essential films.
Yeah, so it's a scratch off thing. I was showing Jay this. And once you watch it, you scratch it off, and it's all color underneath. I don't know how blurry I am on your guys' end right now.
It looks pretty clear.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So what do you have to? What are some things that you have left to watch?
A whole lot, actually. Well, I mean, we've all seen 90% of the movies on this.
Right.
Let's face facts. But there's a lot of early 30s movies, honestly, that I haven't that I've lied about seeing my entire life.
I've seen that.
So,
by the way, I probably said that. Todd, did you like my lie on the last podcast I did about Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
yeah, okay, that was a lie. You accidentally on purpose gaslit me. I was like, did I say that? I was like,
no, I had to.
You got to tell us what you did.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was on this film podcast, Best Film Ever podcast, and this guy on the looked so deeply. They were going scene by scene through the movie. It was really nice. But then he looked so deeply in this scene. He's like, I was sure I watched it twice, and this framing is based off of the framing in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's the exact thing, and it's based off this painting, and it's really deep. And I know for it's a fact, like, Jay, is that a thing? And I was like, oh no, it wasn't. But actually, Todd pointed it out right after, and it was this. And I went on this whole tangent to make it seem like I wasn't an idiot. And that me and Todd I had no idea what he was talking about. I had to Google it later. So the few people who will listen to both podcasts, you know the truth and I'm a liar, but I doubt there's much crossover.
Right.
It's that guy's watching right now, like
oh, I hope not. I didn't even think about that. Now
I'm sure he's not
going to watch it, and they're going to be like, oh my goodness, he's a liar. We can't bring him back on.
Yeah,
it'll take him like 30 years to watch this one.
It's that painting in Have you seen Ferris Bueller? Day Off?
Yes.
You know when they go to the museum and there's that painting of everyone sitting by the lake or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
He thought that we framed our lake scene after that painting. And,
okay. I can see that. I can kind of see that.
Which it's actually strikingly similar in terms of like the composition, but like, in reality, like we just went to the lake and like someone was shooting, like sitting where we wanted to shoot, and we was like, well, let's just go shoot over there in the shade. I mean, that's about as much depth as I had.
How random is that? He's like, you ripped off the picture of the lake in Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yeah. They all were like, there's 4 people and they're all looking at me on the screen. They're all waiting for me and they all like think I'm so smart now. And I panicked and I was like, Todd, like he knew right after.
Yeah. And then I was listening, I wasn't on it. And I was like, did I know? Like, I didn't, this is my first, but maybe I did. I must have. I did.
I did. That was me. That's my idea.
I did. Yes. That was totally planned.
100%.
Like the greatest things happen by accident. Like,
yeah,
I keep seeing like video, like interviews and stuff with Kevin Smith talking about Clerks, and they're like, "Why did you choose to go black and white?" He's like, "Well, it was a very artsy move, like playing off a joke because somebody thought like they chose to do that to be like artistic." And it's like, no, dude, the black and white film was cheaper.
Right.
And that was all it was. It was like
a lot cheaper, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. That's really like most things is just pragmatism.
Yeah.
And
a lot of things, I mean, in the moment, you don't have time to you're not like, let me pull up the iPad and look at this frame from Empire Strikes Back. Wait, are we matching it exactly? You watch so many films and you learn and you get subconsciously have all these influences. And when you're planning, you think of all these things, but when you're doing it, you're not consciously usually like this is exactly like this or this is exact moment like that. It's just all somehow in your head from everything you watch and your feelings, and it just comes out of you. And you may be aping off something here that you don't recognize, or pulling from this movie that you don't even remember in the back of your head, but that shot stuck out to you. So it's a lot of things I think people think are smart. You find out later on. I watch movies all the time and commentaries, and so many things that you think are like, oh, that was in the script, are not. Like, you guys seen Avengers 1 a few times, I'm sure. Yeah. And the first act is so nice when they link and they're like, they keep saying people's names, like, you need a soldier, and then it cuts to Captain America, and it's like, and you talk about being underwater, and it cuts to like Iron Man, and it's like, supposedly like the first cut of the movie, like it was not in that order at all. And then like someone, like producer or editor or assistant was just like, you say the water thing and you have Iron Man earlier. What if you just put Iron Man after he says water and you put this there? And then they didn't. They're like, whoa, like you're such a genius. And like watching it, you're like, there's no way that's not thought out. Like you just assume that's 100% how it was scripted, but like not at all.
That's awesome.
I think it amazes me the kind of stuff, what happens, behind the camera, those decisions that writers and directors and editors make that we never get to see as a part of the audience. To me, that's always interesting when they kind of pull the curtain back and they say, this is really what happened. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's rad. Jay has made me fall in love with commentary.
I love commentaries, and I love like documentaries and like the making ofs and stuff like that. Like I like sometimes I like those better than the actual films.
Yeah.
Because I'll sit I'll sit and watch. I'll pull out a Clerks Blu-ray and put it in and watch their making of documentary probably 10 times versus like 5 times watching the actual movie.
Yeah.
That's with any movie really, because like I've always liked that. I'm like, how did they make that happen? I know Spider-Man's not really jumping across that building.
Yeah.
How do they do it?
When I was a kid, I had the Star Wars Blu-ray or DVD set, Indiana Jones, or VHS back in the day. But that's showing my date. I guess I'm the young, so I can't say that. Kids, you get old fast. I thought I was a kid still. All of a sudden, I'm like almost 30. I guess I'm an old man. I mean,
it sneaks up on you. I'll tell you.
Yeah, he really.
But, I used to watch, Star Wars, Empire, Jedi, and then there was the Empire Dreams thing they made, or the special features. And every time I watched the movies all the way through, it was like a fourth film. I watched the documentary. I watched every time. Same with Indiana Jones or anything. Like the making of was just the next film in a way. So it's like I've seen the making of all those films growing up just as much as the movies almost, which is why I wanted to be a filmmaker. I think you just get so inundated with that.
Exactly, and I love watching. Like I love living in this time because when films, like a lot of filmmakers will not a lot, but some of them will go on and be like, "Hey, we're doing this," and they'll set photos, this and that, like little teases throughout production. I'm excited because Clerks 3 is filming in a week.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have like, you joined that Kevin Smith club and you can watch behind the scenes videos. I'm like, oh, great. That's another thing I have to subscribe to now because I have to see how this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then seeing little trailers for Jackass 4. I'm like, I'm super excited about that one.
I'm so hyped. I went and saw the movie Old today and it was so weird. They played a bunch of trailers for like horror movies. And then like smack in the middle of it was just like, here's a trailer for Jackass 4. And I'm like, yes, okay. It's like Malignant. And then like the new Edgar Wright horror movie, and then it was like Jackass Forever, and then it was like someone I don't remember.
I mean, it's kind of a horror if you think about it in certain ways.
Yeah, I mean, I like had a visceral reaction.
Wait a minute.
You jump more than they did in the other trailers for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But I found out about the Clerks thing actually through you, Steven. I saw your read.
Awesome. I mean, I followed Kevin Smith pretty closely over the last, especially since like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
With their last film that they made, and then went to see that and everything. But yeah, the Clerks 3, I'm like, man, I want to be in New Jersey right now and just like sneak on the set and just wait in the background smoking or something like that, whatever it is.
Why not?
I was rooting for Clerks 3 just because now it's like, okay, that means I have a year of every single tweet he makes about Clerks 3. I can just be like, go watch Northwood Pie. Like every single social media, it's like, oh, Clerks 3, hey, this movie, Clerks means there's a movie. Boom, boom. Like every single tweet for the rest of existence. Like, thank you, Kevin, for making Clerks 3.
It's been so long in the making too, because it was originally supposed to happen in 2012.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've been so excited. I've been waiting for it. And is what's-his-face coming back? The main actor? I remember he's not the main actor, Dante, because the whole reason that he did the other one, I thought, was that Dante said he retired from acting and didn't want to do Clerks 3. But is he come around now and wants to do it?
Yeah, all the original 4 guys, like the Dante, Randall, Jay and Todd, like they're all going to be back as far as.
I mean, Randall is who I meant. Yeah,
Randall, yeah. Yeah, they're all. He's back, like for sure.
Oh,
he started doing cons and stuff like that, and I don't know what it was, but for a long time he was like, "No, I'm not doing it." And that was kind of the main reason they pulled away from doing it originally, which is a good thing because they were talking about the original script and how they did this reading for it up in New Jersey a couple of years ago, and the version of the movie they have now is like supposed to be so much better. I don't really know.
Sure.
Under the basic premise of it is like Randall has a heart attack, and then he's like, "Oh, let's make a movie encapsulating my entire life."
Saw that. Yeah.
And so that's better than the one that they had, which I heard was they essentially both die and like having heart attacks and car crashes. They called it like the King Lear of their films or whatever. And it was like, that sounded too depressing for a Clerks movie. Wow. So I'm glad they didn't make that crazy.
This sounds like a good extension and obviously something Kevin will be personal about. And Clerks 2 is one of those movies that's grown on me. I've always liked Clerks 2, but the more I watch it, the more I connect with it and the more I really feel toward it. And it's a really well-made movie, actually. It's really good.
It is.
I
just watched Clerks the other night, and I want to watch Clerks 2 again. I'm going to binge watch those 2 movies probably over and over until Clerks 3 comes out, which I'm guessing is probably going to be like a spring 2022 release. I mean, they're starting next week, so
he's quick with them. So
yeah, he kind of edits as they go too. So like by the time production ends, they have like half the movie cut together already.
And I love Kevin Smith. This is not a negative thing, but Jay and Silent Bob the reboot, while fun to watch, being a fan of all of that universe is great. Even he said it was a celebratory film for him. It was almost like a he was getting, it's almost bloated in a good sense that was what he wanted to do. He wanted to get all his friends, wanted to put everything in it. So it was like kind of a fun all-star movie, if you will, of Kevin Smith. But I like that because Clerks 3 may have become that, where it was less focused on Clerks. But I'm happy now that I feel like this will be a very solid, I don't know, focus on the characters, focus on the people we love, because that relationship between Randall and Dante is so strong. I mean, through 1 and 2, that we like, you just root for them. That's why you watch them and even watch the making of. You feel like one of their friends when you watch it. I mean, you really feel it's like you're having a bad rainy day on Sunday. You just put on Clerks or Clerks 2 and you feel like you're hanging out with people you know. And so I'm looking forward to that in 3. So it won't get that, because I don't want it to get too heightened, if you will. I do that little like cinematic sprinkle. You want it to still be that grounded sense with a little bit of Hollywood touch.
Right, and he's smart too, the way he does movies and stuff now. Because with the reboot, they brought it out, well, not a traditional release. They were like, let's tour it, and so they made, they could make $50 a ticket because they have a live show after the film. So like that's really smart, and they, and they're probably, I think he said they're going to do that with the 3rd movie. I don't know, but it's good and bad in a way because not everybody gets to see it as a wide release, but at the same time because they hit major cities and stuff like that. But either way, I'm excited for it. If I have to wait for the DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, I will. And he's smart because he's got his own streaming platform, the Kevin Smith Club or whatever, and you can see bonus content and all this and that. So that's how I had to watch the making of for the reboot film. They didn't put it on the Blu-ray. I was like, come on, you always.
No, I haven't seen the making of, so I have to see it on there.
I think they have like it's not as like clean cut as like a documentary, but like it's kind of like that, but a little bit different. But yeah, they've got a lot of that stuff on his that KevinSmithClub.com, I think it is. Oh, okay. I forget how much it is. It's like $5-10 a month, whatever. But he's got tons of content on there. It's pretty cool. I was on it for a little while, but definitely got to get on there now because I have to see those behind the scenes videos of Clear.
Yeah,
they're going to be releasing those as they're in production. I'm like, okay, I got to go on there and watch that.
I know, I'm so hyped. I'm really hyped for Jackass. That's all I can think about lately.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new faces for that one too.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I'm down for all of it.
And there's a girl. There's like a girl. For years, I was like, there needs to be a girl in Jackass.
Yeah.
But just because you don't really see a lot of girls like doing that kind of stuff. But they had that one show on whatever, if it's MTV or like whatever channel, but it was like the Rad Girls or something like that. It was essentially a female Jackass. There was like 3 or 4 of them, and they went around.
I see that.
And I don't think it lasted very long. But
I remember I grew up on Jackass and the Bam Margera show when I was like late elementary school. I just thought that stuff was hilarious.
Yeah,
it was great.
I love Chris Pontius,
Chris Pontius, yeah, the Wild Boys. Oh yeah,
yeah, that was my shit. I love that stuff.
Oh gosh, I loved it.
Yeah, the trailer made me kind of sad though.
Yeah, I was on set actually. And this is like a weird story, but it's like I don't know if you should say it, but like I worked on set and there was this girl there and she looked so familiar. And this was like a couple years ago, and I like where do I know this girl from? And I was like, did I work with her before or something? And like that, I going on Instagram at lunch and I follow Steve-O and like. And I find I was like, oh, it's Steve-O's girlfriend, and like there, and that's how I knew her. She's on the video. She's like, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's Steve-O's girlfriend. And it was just an interesting, like a random like occurrence of all the people you see on set. Like, but what a nice guy he is now, and it's like
cool.
I love seeing people like just all become the best version of themselves. Like, I always look up to that. Like, that's something that's always like to be rewarded. Like,
and he's got a really good podcast too. I watch it from time to time. I don't see every episode, but. Mm-hmm. I forget what it's called because he goes around in his little like RV and he has like this entire podcast studio in his RV and it's awesome.
That's so cool.
I'll have to check that out.
I love it.
I just like he does a lot of interviews with like Jackass guys and stuff like that, and all kinds of people. So it's like and there's people every day now are getting podcasts. Like this guy's got a podcast. This guy's got a podcast, and podcasts are blowing up.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's where it is.
I don't understand I'm on a podcast, listen to podcasts, but I don't know what it's Twitter's algorithm, but every single day I go on Twitter, when I log on Twitter and you push the refresh, the top tweet, it says it's some dude just saying, or some girl, something, hey, anyone got a podcast recommendation? It's always a different person. And I'm thinking to myself, I got too many podcasts. I'm not even caught up on all the podcasts I listen to. How come every single day I don't see everyone asking about, I see one movie, for every movie recommendation thing, I see 75 podcast things. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you got time for more podcasts that you can even ask for recommendations? Then you got 100 people commenting on podcasts, and it's like that's like 100 years worth of content. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's what's nice about podcasts is it's like it's between everything. You don't have to you don't have to sit down and watch it. So like especially in LA, you're in the car for like an hour or two a day just getting to work, and so it like handles that.
Yeah, I'm always listening to a podcast now.
Huh?
Oh no, I was just saying I always listen to podcasts now all the time, all day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, 100%. I actually had to tell myself, I was like, I should probably like give my brain like a second to like think. I'm just constantly inundated with like brand new content at all times, and it's all great.
Yep, it's content overload.
Yeah, but I'm for it. I'm here. Give me more.
I think that's why I watch old stuff to relax, like binge watching old episodes of The Office or whatever it is, because I'm not like having a focus too much on it. Like I already know it in my head, so I can like miss half of it. I'm like, oh yeah, haha, that just happened. Like,
oh yeah, 100%. Background
you know
shows.
where it's going, so you don't have to. Your brain's not so like focused in on it.
Is that your background show, The Office?
Yeah, usually if I'm just gonna go to sleep or like whatever, I would put The Office on. And there's others too. I try to watch like video shows like Ridiculousness. I love that show.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And it's that kind of show is hard to watch if you're not paying attention because you just hear people laughing. You're like, what happened? What happened?
Yeah, you gotta go back to the whole thing.
Yeah.
What
I
about
learned
you?
that the hard way.
Your background show, Chris? I'm curious.
My background show is I'm a big Star Trek fan.
Nice.
And so one of the networks, they've got the original Star Trek, they've got Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and then Enterprise.
Oh wow.
Ooh, dang.
Yeah, that is like the channel that I go to bed to.
Gotcha.
I'm so glad my wife loves Star Trek.
Right? You'd be in trouble. You're like, I have to watch Golden Girls.
My grandma's the biggest Trekkie or Trekker, whichever one they prefer, but so she watches she's seen every single episode, every single season a bunch of times. And I need to get up and catch up. I want to watch most of the episodes. I have a friend named Carlos right now who's going through and watching every piece of Star Trek content from the beginning, like in order of release. And he's like,
oh, man.
I think he's like 10 years in, but he's got a lot of the 90s get a lot of content with those 3 shows running.
They do. I mean, for me, I was a teenager in the 90s, and Next Generation, that was my show. I wasn't really big on the black and white original programming. For me, that was old, but I loved TNG. And and then I feel like I didn't quite catch on to Deep Space Nine and Voyager when they were on, but watching them back, I love them. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that for me it never gets old. I can just watch it over and over and over again, and I do. So
yeah,
I really want to see that Picard series.
Yeah,
I've never seen.
I got to catch up on all those things.
Yeah, I'm a bad nerd. I haven't seen enough Star Trek. I've seen the movies.
I haven't seen any of the new Star Trek shows. I'm really bad on that. I need to catch up at some point, but in my head, I'm like, do I go back and watch all the original series first or the best of? They go to websites, maybe you watch the best half of them. But what do you guys think of or Chris, what do you think of Star Trek films? Like the 6 original films and, of course, the Next Generation films? Because, I've seen them all quite a few times.
I love the original cast for the movies. I think they're great. You got Leonard Nimoy, you got William Shatner. That cast in the movies, they were really well written. And when you find out that Leonard Nimoy was actively involved in writing a lot of the scripts, particularly like Search for Spock, and in that one where they're going to get the whale, the voyage home to get the whale. I feel like the only one of those 6 that I do not like is the very first one.
Yeah.
Yes, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which to me, I just act like that movie never existed. But I feel like by the time the movies came around, as a group, as a core of actors, they really knew how to work together, and I think the writers knew how to write them well by that point. They had a lot of depth, and I think they were also very well seasoned actors by that point. So they knew who their characters were. They weren't still trying to flesh them out by that point. And so I really liked that. I think that some of the, as much as I love Next Generation, I feel like some of the movies they've had were really kind of hit or miss. I certainly like the series better than I liked the movies.
Yeah.
And Corey says again, Star Trek 1 is like Highlander 2. I mean,
Star Trek 1 is, it's interesting. I mean, it's one of those things that's too long, but there's some good craft to it. But I mean, you can definitely just start with 2 and move on. The outfits, the 70s, it just doesn't quite match. I mean, the 4.5 minute scene of them pulling up, but there is some elements of it. I do like the V'ger like reveal and stuff. It takes too long to get there. I mean, you're kind of driving into it for 45 minutes. But what I found was interesting is a lot of that imagery from Star Trek 1. When I rewatched Independence Day recently, I rewatched them both kind of back to back. The look of the ship and the way you go kind of slowly go across the I don't know how the architecture, if you will, of the spaceships is actually very similar when you're like pulling up and like kind of when Spock's driving through and you're getting to the core. It's actually very Star Trek 1 in aesthetic, which I wonder if that's intentional. I'm pretty sure it would be.
Yeah,
gotta be.
Yeah, but it is one of those, and I don't know where
It's the weakest film, though, for sure. I think
it is absolutely. I could just like cut it off and act like it, throw it away, and
agreed.
100%.
Yeah, it's not a part of the series, but I love it. And what's weird? Sometimes you get into shows because your parents were big Star Trek fans. My parents are not into sci-fi. I don't know exactly where I got my love for Star Trek, because I'm the only Trekkie in my family, as far as I know.
Wow,
it's pure.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm the parent.
Yeah, you're the parent that gets. Yeah, you're patient zero or whatever it's called with Star Trek. Yeah, 100%.
Well, no, the good thing is in if it's with my parents and with my brother, they're not Trekkies. In my home though, with my wife and my kids, we've had discussions about which one they like more. Are they more Star Trek fans? Are they more Star Wars fans? And I think my daughter told me the other day that she was a bigger Star Wars fan, and I was a little bit disappointed.
Oh wow!
And I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars. I was born in '79. My parents, their first date together was to see the very first Star Wars movie in 1977. So
wow.
My mother was a much bigger Star Wars fan than she ever was a Star Trek fan.
Yeah, my mom is my mom's father was a Trekkie, like a hardcore Trekkie, but she was a Star Wars fan, which is hilarious. And I think that like they're borderline. You can't really even compare them. They're completely different things to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They are.
sure.
Like I go to it's like Star Trek's almost like a political thriller. It's like a bad description, but it's very much more like,
Makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, submarine movies.
Yeah, and then exactly. And then Star Wars is it's the classic Joseph Campbell hero goes on a journey thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I feel you.
I blended a bit more, I guess, with the JJ doing both because I do like the new Star Trek movies, but that first of the new Star Trek is it's more Joseph Campbell. He's on a hero journey.
Right.
He's the main character. It's not about the six. It's about him as the lead and then meeting the other people that will form in his life. So
yeah, I've got to say, I really do like I generally find that when they do reboots of established, you already have like your favorite characters and then they remake it, and I'm generally let down. Mm-hmm. And I really liked, especially that first movie.
Yeah,
that J.J. Abrams did for Star Trek. I think the cast for it is great. I mean,
I was about to say perfect cast.
Yeah, and again, that was a really high bar to clear for me. Right? If they didn't have everything, their storyline, and the characters line up, I knew it would have bombed, and they somehow made it work. So.
Yeah, it was really good. I was shocked. I really went in with like really low expectations because at that point I don't think I had even seen the originals when that movie came out, and I was like, "Oh, it's not Star Wars." And I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, it's actually really good." And then Jay showed me the original 6, and I was like, "Oh, this is apples and oranges. This is not even the same type of story at all."
Yeah, I hope they make the fourth one. I mean, they keep saying they're going to and not. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to get a better cast for the movies in this. Like, you're not going to get a better Kirk ever than Chris Pine. He's even a bigger star now, and Spock is so good, and Zoe Saldana and everybody. I mean, it's Carl Urban is like so good. So it's like if they do make another one and recast it, I think you're almost asking for less money. I know it's been a hard sell before, and the other ones, the third one didn't do so well, but that's more when the film was released, I think, than a product of how good the movie was and. Marketing, and it's been a hard sell overseas, but I think Chris Pine's a little bit of a bigger star now, and I think Star Wars isn't so fresh. I think Star Trek Beyond came right when Force Awakens came out and we were getting Rogue One, and people were like, oh, Star Trek, we needed Star Trek because Star Wars was gone, and it kind of filled that void in these movie form. And I think that, I like Star Wars, but it's in some way disappointed or got oversaturated in the last few years. There's so much Star Wars content that I think a Star Trek movie now with that cast would do better than the last one did for sure. I think it would do great.
Yeah, I would definitely do lots of it.
I keep forgetting his name, but the guy plays Spock, the new Spock.
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, and because Corey is talking about Siler as Spock was mind blowing, and this character Siler from Heroes.
Right, literally.
We love that show. That's how Chris and I actually connected, was through that show, Heroes.
Oh, okay.
On like a fan page or something like that, and that was an interesting show. I mean, it really was. It was like a superhero show done in a different way. They didn't have like costumes and like all this like flashy, like, oh, we have a whole team behind us. It was just like regular people who just like became superpowered.
I'll never forget Anthony, Sean Lehman, the guy who plays Anthony in Northwood Pie, the guy with the longer hair. We have the card. I don't know if you remember who I'm talking about. Biggest Heroes fan in the whole world.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
I don't know why. I'll like never forget that. It was like he told me that in like 9th grade. He's like, bro, Heroes though. And I was like, oh, I'll check it out eventually, and I didn't. And like to this day, he'll randomly be like, it's good, but not Heroes.
It really is a good show. I mean, so many good stories. I mean, they only ran for like, what was it, like 4 or 5 seasons, I think.
Yeah, I think it was quick.
And they were it always like makes me so mad because of the very final episode. It's like, to be continued, and it's one of those cursed things where if you write to be continued on the screen, it won't happen.
Yeah.
And it just they did come out. They came out with a sequel series for 1 season, Heroes Reborn, and that was.
I never saw that. I heard it wasn't so good.
It wasn't as good as the original, but it was still enjoyable. Like, I mean, I appreciated it for what it was.
What is crazy though, I really do believe that if it wasn't for Heroes and Heroes Reborn, I think that number one, Steven and I would never have become friends.
No.
And this podcast wouldn't exist.
Probably not.
It's weird how something as simple and stupid as a TV show can kind of get everything started, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Jay and I probably wouldn't be friends if it weren't for the existence of movies and TV overall, to be honest with you. I don't think we would have met.
Yeah. It's crazy how it does bring people together, right? Like when people realize that they have something in common because they've watched the same thing. I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's what's so sad about some fandoms being so gnarly.
Yeah, there are definitely some fandoms that are much more negative than others, right?
Yeah, which is like, what is the point of that? I don't. Yeah, that's
just online culture in a nutshell these days. I mean, I feel like because you can get information about anything, right, and back you up. And the same thing goes with storylines. I think it somehow created some form of like factions, and it's been building up over the years and somehow getting worse. Where fans do this too, where like, I don't know, they just get in their own universe and they think like a fan, only like a fan. They think with all their fan friends who think the exact same way, and they get in their clubs and stuff, which I get. I mean, I've talked on movie forums, I've had chats and stuff like that, but it's like getting more and more segmented, like in a way. It seems like people are, really taking sides on what they like and don't like. And I'm just like, listen, it's all the same. It's superhero movies. Like anyone can make a good one. Anyone can make a bad one. It's like, I'm just as critical of all of them. I've got no bias or leanings. And it's weird to me that people have allegiances towards people or companies or something like that, because I just want everything to be good. Yeah. And it's also just, we respond to it now. I watched the making of Harry Potter last time I watched it, and they talk about Daniel Radcliffe is joking like, oh, we get like tons of fan mail, but like they throw away all the bad ones, and they talk about all the kids talk about how they can't read bad things about them. It's like, yeah, back in the day when you were a superhero, unless the trade says it, you're not getting thousands of tweets that you can just access, say, hey, you shouldn't be this character, or you're this, or you're that. The studio would just rip up the mail. You don't have to see the hate stuff. You can just see the best stuff. And now it's like, I don't know, it's hard. And again, people, I always had some stuff don't always mean it. It's a weird and autonomy thing where like, if you were in an elevator with them, whether you're arguing with them on Twitter or not, you'd get along. Like if you guys bumped into each other in line at Disneyland, you guys would have the greatest 90-minute conversation, even if you guys have completely opposite tastes in superhero movies and anything. Just the fact that you both are so passionate, you guys would have a great time together. But it's like online, one sentence says something and everyone gets a little angry and things are misread, and it just ends up being this whole thing that I think, hopefully in a couple of years, I think we even out. I think we're all still adjusting and it's still fresh. And I think in a few years, hopefully, I think things will kind of soften up and everyone will be a little bit kinder to each other. But who knows? It could just get worse.
It might get worse.
Significantly worse, yeah. But it's just
Hopefully.
sad because like it's preventing people from enjoying stuff. Like I remember my friend Johnny Chang, who also helped out on Northwood Pie. Johnny Chang, when The Force Awakens was coming out, he hadn't seen Star Wars, and he had got to the point where everyone was like berating him and calling him stupid and dumb for not having seen it. And like not liking it, but he's like, I don't really want to see it. And I remember everyone was like literally like yelling at him jokingly, and he's like, I don't care, it seems stupid. And I pulled him aside. I was like, look, Star Wars is about I was like, Star Wars is about some dude with a light sword who goes to space and fights his dad. I was like, that's just dope. I was like, my grandpa showed it to my mom showed it to me. It makes you feel good for like 2 hours. I was like, that's it. And he's like, okay. And he watched all 3, and he's like, they're great. And I was like, see. Yeah. Just everyone should enjoy everything. It drives me absolutely insane.
I will tell you that I remember as a kid reading comic books, and for me, comic books were like my gateway to literature. Right, like long before I became an English teacher, I was avidly reading comics. But I remember being in the 80s, the 90s, and just kind of imagining what it would be like if these comic books could come to life on TV.
Oh yeah,
it seemed like when they did try to make it happen, most of the time it didn't work out. And the idea that nowadays we can turn on the TV and watch TV shows featuring superheroes and watch movies with superheroes, to me, I can't get enough of it. And when people sometimes nitpick shows like these to death, I go, listen, you don't know how lucky we are.
Yeah.
Right? And I still have that wonder. As corny as that sounds, I still have that joy of being able to just sit back and watch, a lot of those characters that I read when I was a kid, come to life on the screen.
No, 100%. I agree, and even Jay has said this to me before. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the new Star Wars trilogy, but as Jay has said, it's more Star Wars. So how can you complain?
Yeah,
it's more Star Wars now.
It's more.
Well, I'm a strict person. Like I'll complain about stuff, but as I say to him, it's all bonus stuff. That's the key thing I say. Like I can't and I tell other people, I don't get so caught up. Like I could have my judgments. I could hate one episode and love the next episode. Just doesn't affect how much I like something or don't. It doesn't take away the liking for something I had before. That's the thing I don't like. People are like, you're ruining something I already like. Like I like something. Nothing's gonna change that. They could never make a Star Wars movie again, and I'm fine with it. I like the ones I like. I don't need any more movies. But if they keep making one every year, I'll see it. And of course, if they keep making so many, I'm not gonna like every one. But it's all time, they're just bonus movies. So again, there's nothing to get too mad at. It's fun to discuss, and of course, you're allowed to have your opinions. And I'm probably stricter than most, but it's just bonus. They're just there for your entertainment. Watch them if you want, enjoy them if you want, and if you have a good time watching it, that's all that matters, right?
Right. I don't get spending all your time like, let's see how badly I can hate on this thing today. It's like you're wasting all the time watching, like, instead of watching the stuff that you do like. It's like,
sure.
Why?
Yeah. And there's a lot less discussion. That's the problem. It's not like it's okay to discuss things or things that you don't like or be critical. Yeah. But people do that in a it's more hateful. People don't understand the effort that goes into it, or that's just maybe not for them, or it's not their thing. And it's okay to not like something, but it's also like okay to be respectful to people that do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big thing I see online. Like, if someone likes and thinks your favorite MC movie is your worst or vice versa, if they're your friend, you want to talk about it. I mean, it's fun to discuss, but there's no reason to make anyone feel bad or care. Because at the end of the day, you're now just arguing over creations that, they're all, to me, they're all the same, and not all the same, but like they're all doing the same thing for us. Different characters are just who we connect with and who we want to see the world through. But they're all just characters, and they're all just superheroes, or they're all just people. So there's no reason to like put them against each other and put people against each other.
Right. Well, I think that's really been the strength of our podcast here. Is though Steve and I never really like overtly had a conversation about how we were gonna organize it. We typically keep things very positive. We are celebrating what we love, right? I mean, that's why you guys are here with us. Again here today is we really love what you guys put together, and we celebrate it. We really can't talk about Northwood Pie enough, and we are thankful that you guys created a movie that we enjoy and that we can share with other people, and I know a lot of my friends have gotten excited about it. Just simply because of this podcast and everything else. So if you haven't heard thank you enough yet, thank you for the time you put into it in creating it. It really is awesome. And it gives us to talk about here.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask before we kind of signed off, because I know it is getting late and time is valuable. But I wanted to ask you guys: is there anything else that you're planning right now?
You never know how much to say, and I guess we won't say the title or anything, but we are working on a few projects, but mainly we have a next feature film that we're going to shoot next summer for sure, no matter what. So we're kind of on the final touch-ups of that script. We've done a few drafts, and then we're going to kind of really go forward with it and try to raise more money and start slowly working toward the shoot date next summer. And then on top of that, finishing a couple other scripts and ideas we have. So just, kind of work straight ahead. And I guess I'll let Todd talk about, I don't know how much to talk about too much, but we're going more in the horror vein. So it's going to be more of Northwood Pie. The way I feel about a lot of horror films, I love the James Wan films. I love, all the Blumhouse movie. And we love horror. Todd's a bigger horror fan than me. And I watch everything, B movies, if it's some 80s film that's got a 2.2 on IMDb, but it's got a great title, I'm going to watch
another one of these for horror movies exclusively.
See, I haven't seen a lot of those. And it's just, I think that they're so plot driven a lot of times. And what I liked about Northwood Pie, which I think that actually worked, were the simpler scenes, right? The scenes where they're just talking, where there's just a nice 4-minute long shot of them having a conversation. So we're going to try to bring that to a coming of age horror movie in a way, so that there's these character scenes where you don't necessarily think you're in a horror movie, you forget you're in a horror movie, you're just having these characters have a relationship or conversation. And when you forget it's a horror film, there's a horror set piece. So it's still a horror movie, but we want to make it character first.
Somewhere between mumblecore and horror.
Well, things start getting going with that. We're definitely going to talk a lot about it. We're going to hey, go watch this movie. Now we have a chance to tell you about it before it happens.
Yeah. No, we're excited. Yeah. Again, I also don't know how much to reveal beyond that. It's tied down to one location.
It'll be better than Star Trek 1.
Okay.
No, that's that sounds bad. I'm like, anything's better than Star Trek 1.
Yeah, no, but that's hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw the Twitters up there. People can follow you guys and keep up to date with what you're doing and stuff like that. We're excited for anything and everything. And I keep looking at this box because I want to make it into a clock. I want to go to one of those art stores, and get one of those clock kits and just put it right there. So every time it's pizza time.
That's not a bad idea. I wonder where my shirt is. I have a Northwood Pizza shirt somewhere. I filmed in it for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll send out pizza boxes and shirts to people. One day, possibly. But we had a blast. I know me and Todd will come back anytime. Even something more structured you want to talk again about. We're going to make some short films, or we'll talk about when we're going along, or we'll send you our scripts to read just because we're friends. Or if there's a new movie that comes out that you guys just want to discuss, me and Todd love to talk about things. So if there's Spider-Man or any movie at all that you're like, it's coming out this weekend, we should all talk about it, I know me and Todd will gladly jump on anytime.
Yeah, literally anytime.
That could be something great. Maybe we could have our film review special days or something. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm super down. Jay and I both love talking about movies.
As you saw.
I love listening to people. I forget I'm on a podcast. I'm like, ooh, these guys are talking about Spider-Man, and I'm gonna listen.
I think that Steven and I, we really go for it. We are looking to have a good conversation. Right? No matter what the topic is, no matter who we have on, our goal is let's just have a good conversation. Let's get to know who they are. That really is our goal every single time we do this podcast. So thanks for being a part of it. And again, we're thankful for your willingness just to share. And it's been fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for championing Northwood Pie even harder than I have, to be honest. It's awesome, and I'm super stoked with it.
It
means the world to us, honestly. It's like living in
we are associate producers, so
Yeah.
Thank you. It's much appreciated. And both, Steven and Chris, you both are super nice guys, and you set the tone for the podcast. I think you were talking about how you guys are always nice. I think you're so nice, and you bring a nice, lovable, friendly vibe. So I think, you make the conversation always fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Well, your presence. It's very positive. And I like that.
We just try to be real and have fun. We don't want to go into these our first interview with Mark Guggenheim. We're like, Mark Guggenheim, thank you for being here today. We were I was totally trying to fake my way through it. And he's like, dude, you guys sound like you've been doing this for years. I'm like, been like 6 months. Or whatever it was.
What do they say? You fake it till you make it, right? So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
And so please follow us as well, and Mark Guggenheim, who's a sponsor of this podcast. Without him, we wouldn't have we would still have a podcast, but it wouldn't be the same as it is today. Follow the podcast and myself and Chris, and yeah, I mean, we're growing every day.
Yeah, don't forget about YouTube.
Oh yeah, our YouTube. I actually had that. I had that pulled up here. I gotta put that link in here because we had the YouTube for a while, but we're just now starting to push it. I know. Well, actually, this is gonna be a link, so like you can't really see it, but it's anybody watching the Facebook feed right now can see it, but I'm going to throw it up here. If you want to write it down, you can type it all in. That's one of those really crazy long links, but that's just between a hot and a hard place. Like I didn't think about that before I pasted that in there. I'm like, who's going to write down like 682-4.4?
Someone's doing it right now. That's awesome.
Yeah, that would take some serious dedication.
But yeah, I needed to find a better way to link that.
Right.
But we'll get there. It's linked on our Twitter and stuff. So like, if you go to our Twitter, it's on like the Twitter head and everything. Yeah. Oh, Corey says I memorized it.
There we go.
Wow.
Boom.
He really is that good. Yeah.
I just realized I shaved today. I feel like I'm left out. I had like a full beard yesterday, and I'm pretty.
Oh
pissed.
wow.
I'm now the only one that I feel like I made a mistake.
You need to work on it. Next time I expect a full beard.
Done.
All right.
Done.
I'm not wearing a hat. See?
Wow.
Fair.
It's like one of these things is not like the other.
Next time you need to have a hat and a beard.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There we go.
It'd be funny if I shaved between now and then.
We all flip.
I remember that you shaved once, and I hardly recognized you.
Yeah, I mean, I look like a completely different person.
Right.
Like when it's gone.
I look like I'm 14 when I shave. So
yeah,
this is not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's why I have a beard too. Look older.
Yeah.
Like it's so hot now that it's like the middle of July. We're almost the end of July. It's like super hot, but it's just I can't. I feel weird without it. Like I don't know.
I just can't deal with it. I can't get past the itchy phase. I know it ends, but like I just like
See, to me, it's like you can I could do this to my face. I could rub full speed my chin. If I didn't have any hair, I would just be irritating my skin and like giving myself like an Indian burn, right? I shouldn't say that. What's the new term for that? Like that's a term I learned as a child, but now it's hey, it's not. Shouldn't call it that, right? Like I never thought about that. We gotta learn a new term for that. So I'll Google it off for this.
Here we go.
A what burn?
A Native American rub.
Native American rub. Okay, yeah. I don't know if that's still allowed, but we'll try it.
I mean,
it's like the same vibe, but
yeah.
But
it's like so that's why I like beer. I feel like my face is more penetrable. I mean, like or not more, the opposite, less penetrable.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Also, probably not the best use of words there either. But
just get some dry under the beard, scratch it, flakes come out. It's no good.
Yeah.
For me.
Oh, yeah. It gets. I get really itchy sometimes, especially in the heat. But
now my girlfriend has me doing like a face routine, so like I had to get it through the beard to do it. It's a whole
like kind of get in between the and
it like dries in there.
Bottom line is if the girlfriend likes it, then you keep it. If she doesn't like it, you do what makes her happy, right?
The problem is that she likes it. She likes it either clean shaven or fully grown out. She doesn't like the between. So it's tough.
It's the in between time. It's like don't look at me.
You're like I don't want to be Grizzly Adams.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh man.
Ending on a high note with the beard talk.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it's been great. Thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to next time, and especially with your new projects that you're doing. And so, keep us in the loop. All right.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
Thank you. Of course.
Talk to you guys first. You guys are the first people to talk to us, so we'll forever be indebted to y'all.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, have a good night.
You too. See you soon.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.